This is the Dirt Life podcast, and I'm excited to have you on. You're a good friend of mine, and all my friends are legends. And you live in an epic small town known as Whistler. I love it there. I've been a fan of that town for a long time. It's quite unique. And I want to learn all about it and your company. So maybe if you want to give yourself an introduction of yourself and your company.
You bet, buddy. My name's Matt Woods. I'm the president and director of Coastal Mountain Excavations based in beautiful Whistler, British Columbia. My dad founded the company, Nigel Woods. He is our founder and our current chairman of the board. He was born in Edmonton, Alberta, grew up in Calgary and Airdrie till he was about 10, then moved to Victoria, BC. And he was a farm kid. He loved his tractors and digging holes, and put himself through UVic, was on his way to law school, would have been early 70s, I guess, Scotty. And when he finished school, came to Whistler for a ski weekend, and classic Whistler story, fell in love with the place and never left. Bought himself a backhoe, started clearing driveways back in the day while he was ski patrolling on Whistler Mountain. And the Keg was a new restaurant on the shores of Alta Lake back in the early 70s. And CME was founded March 3rd, 1977. So we're just about 47 years old now. And interesting fact, we believe we are the oldest operating company in Whistler. So that's a pretty cool little tidbit of info. As my dad says, the company was founded when the village was a garbage dump and you had to do your laundry in Squamish. So it's been a while that we've been here. And one of my dad's first employees, a guy named Scotty Hearn, I think he's worn out the seat of about a dozen cat excavators over his 42 years working for us. Sadly, we lost him during COVID to COVID. But he used to say Whistler was just a place where the kids from Squamish and Pemberton used to meet up to fight on the weekend. So Whistler's changed a little bit since then. And it's kind of the backbone of where we are and how we started.
Yeah, Whistler has came a long ways, and now, in my opinion, it's the most beautiful now. It's like,
Yeah,
it's an amazing place.
it's matured. I think I have, Scott. You don't learn everything every day, but the town is it's worldwide known. The Olympics was a big stage for us in 2010, not only for the town, but for our business as well. It was kind of a launch pad for us in many ways, and people love to come here, and I hope they do for years and years to come, because it's a beautiful place. Not only in the winter as a ski town, but in the summer as the number one bike destination in the world. The downhill mountain bike park here is huge, and paddleboarding, canoeing, hiking. It's outdoor playground for outdoor enthusiasts. It's a great place to live.
Growing up in a construction family, as a little kid, what are your first memories of construction in Whistler, I guess?
I mean, it all comes from my dad. I was, I guess, 5 years old when the company was. I was 5. The company was 5 years old when I was born. Pardon me. So all my memories of being a kid was my dad working. It was work hard to play hard. And that's still a tagline of all our emails that go out to this day is, we work really hard to live in the place that we do, and we like to play harder than we work. And I think that's kind of the attitude my dad's taken in his entire life, and growing up in a construction family business, it was always that you're either working 100% or you're playing 100%. And I think that lives true to this day. And even the staff that work for us now, they chose Whistler for a reason. It's just an awesome place to live. But I remember, my dad doing a sanitary force main project back when I was a kid, and he had an idea. He's like, well, I got to backfill this thing. Why don't we make a trail out of it? So that was the birth of what is now today the Valley Trail system that runs through Whistler from the south end to the north end, and we've built a lot of it. We built a lot of Whistler. It's kind of fun rolling through town, and you go, yeah, I built that. Yeah, I built that. Dad built that. We've built almost every neighborhood in town. Been a part of all of it, all the schools that are here. We've done all the earthworks and civil servicing into the hotels, dug most of the holes in the village back in the late 70s and early 80s when interest rates were hitting 22% and everybody bailed. The local guys that stuck here really had, it's all about time and place, and the time and the place was good. Back then, you just had to hang in, and here we are 47 years later, Whistler's longest standing operating company. So pretty cool.
So there's construction in the summer, and then in the wintertime, what do you guys do to make it a year-round destination, I guess, for people?
For us in the business in the winter months, specifically in Whistler, we've grown beyond the bounds of Whistler now. But winding the clock back, my dad decided to turn all the pickup trucks and loaders and backhoes into snowplows, because that's what he did when he first got to town. He actually he pioneered the use of hydraulic V blades in snow removal applications. So back in the day, if there was only a straight blade, Dad said, "Fuck it, cut the thing in half. We can push more snow. Let's get more efficient." So all the V blades you see out in the world now, Nige was the pioneer. So we had a shop and a couple welders, and let's put some steel together and make this thing more efficient. So in the winter, we plow snow, and you look at the even GVRD Vancouver. I think they've got about 20 pieces of snow removal equipment. The resort municipality of Whistler, I think, has 12. We're on the road with 45 plus pieces of snow removal equipment every day when it snows or not here in town. So what we do in the Whistler in the winter, and it really helps us keep our year-round staff dedicated to this company. Our competition doesn't do what we do in the winter, and they lose a lot of guys to attrition, and guys just want to go skiing or whatever, and that's fine. But we keep our core group of employees working year round, which is really important. It helps with our retention and our training costs every year. We don't have to train a bunch of new people. And our clients love it too, because they've had the same guy plowing their driveway or their complex for decades, and they're known like family. And that's really what makes this town tick. It's fantastic.
For the people that you don't have employed throughout the winter doing snow removal or something, do they work the ski hill, run snowcats, or like?
Yeah, we've got a bunch of guys that go and groom for Whistler Blackcomb in the winter. We've probably got 5 or 6 guys that go and shape the ski runs that we love to ski in the winter or board, and they're kind of seasonal guys. But our business has really expanded to the south, to Squamish, West Van, and now North Vancouver. And it's been really important for us strategically to keep the excavators and rock trucks and drills and all that stuff spinning 12 months a year instead of 7 to 8. Instead of sitting there holding down real estate, they're out working in Squamish and spinning full time. So that's been a real strategic point for us in our business and our growth, is to expand to the south. And we've really taken over the Squamish market in the last few years, which has been key to our growth and scaling this business.
Yeah, like I was in Squamish. Well, I go there several times a year, whether it's with you or not, and I see Squamish growing like crazy.
I believe last year it was the fastest growing community in BC.
So you have plans to build there more and more and more? Like you have a couple crews there, or what?
We opened an office in Squamish last year. Our vice president of construction, Stuart Nielsen, he's one of the smartest guys in the industry. We opened an office down there last year, and he's been really leading the charge with our growth down there. He and I together, and we're working for the best developers in BC. We've got Axiom and Boza on the waterfront project. We've got Kingswood Capital with our Redbird project. We just landed Polygon's new project, Garibaldi Springs. So 3 of the best developers in BC we're working for in Squamish now. And we seem to be the only guys that are kind of being the aggressors in town. I think a lot of the older companies that were Squamish based going way back when, their former owners are either dead or dying, kind of my dad's generation, and there's not really anyone there to fill the void. So we really feel like we've got a big opportunity, and we're really taking advantage of it. It's been excellent the last number of years.
What type of work are you currently doing, or looking to do in Squamish? Like underground? Are you carving mountains out? Like,
Our bread and butter, Scott, is where we can put big earthworks projects where we do everything in house, and that's clearing, stripping, it's drilling and blasting, which we do in house. We're the only company in the Sea to Sky corridor that does drilling and blasting in house. We also own a gravel business, Twin River Gravel, so we've got specialty custom crushing up our sleeve for bigger developments that we're there for a couple of years, and we can drill, blast, crush, produce, use everything on site where developers really see some cost savings and efficiencies with what we can do in house all the time, and we're the only guys that can do it.
it's quite hard to compete against a company that does almost everything in house. You took over the family business. What was that transition like? Like, I'm sure there was challenges and stuff. So,
Oh yeah, and it goes way back, Scott. So I grew up a ski racer in Whistler. I've always been an athlete, student athlete, and that took me a long way in my post secondary education. I was lucky enough to have school paid for through my athletic endeavors, but I always wanted to study business. My dad was a businessman, and I wanted to be a businessman too. Just looking up to him and what he was able to accomplish, being a farm kid from Calgary, then Victoria from nothing. I certainly had a leg up and an opportunity that most kids didn't. But I made the decision, I think it was 2004. We were away on a family holiday for Christmas, and I just woke up one morning and said, Dad, this is what I want to do. I want to take over the business. I'm going to go get financially literate. And I went and got my corporate finance degree. And I'd grown up working for the company since I was, probably illegally 10, 12 years old, grouting manholes, doing slab prep, shoveling drain rock, getting abused by, crotchety old construction workers. But I loved it. It's in my blood for sure. So the day I decided that this was the way it was going to go, we started down the succession planning path, and we started that in 2004, and I didn't buy the company out until 2016. So 12 years of intentional planning down this road. We did a lot of work with the Sauder School of Business and their Family Business Center. One of our mentors, a guy named David Bentall, probably heard of the Bentall family. They founded, and grew Dominion Construction into what it is today. They built BC Place, Rogers Arena, where the Canucks play. Super successful family business, but not without its issues. So we really got to learn from other family businesses in BC, and some real, movers and shakers, needle movers in everything from the auto business to storage to you name it. Dad and I went down that road in 2004, and it still doesn't stop. The education and learning never ends, but we were very intentional with the process, because it's usually about 20% of family businesses make it to the second generation. Usually the first generation starts it, second generation grows it, third generation blows it. So I'm Gen 2, and if my kids want to get into it one day, we'll see about that. They got some work to do. But more than anything, it was the work ethic that Dad instilled in me that lives on today.
pretty awesome. Yeah. Throughout the years, whether you were growing up in it as a kid or since your involvement as an owner or whatever, I assume there's been some pretty big or epic projects that have went on in Whistler. What stands out for you? What's a project that you're super proud of or that's just been incredible?
For me, with my ski racing background, Scott, the Olympics was really cool for us here in Whistler. And that goes back to 2003 when Vancouver and Whistler were awarded the Olympics. I was there in the village when it all came down, and the town was just stoked. And honestly, we wanted it back in 2030, but it doesn't sound like it's going to happen. But growing up as a ski racer in this town, I got to work on the men's and women's downhill tracks on Whistler Mountain. And a bunch of my friends that were still ski racing actually raced in the Olympics. So to be on the mountain building ski runs that your friends are going to potentially win medals in the Olympics was a really incredible experience. I got to build a bunch of the men's downhill, but more importantly, the women's downhill We spent the summer of, I think it was 2006, regrading the whole lower half of the women's downhill from the Frog Bank turn down to Frondola. We did the whole finished stadium for both men's and women's races. But I got to build a tunnel in the summer of 2007, and that was my first big project as a site superintendent after I finished university. And we spent, because the construction season here is so short, especially higher elevation, halfway up Whistler Mountain, you're moving snow in late April, early May to get to work, and it's chasing you out by the end of September, early October. So you don't really have a lot of time to work, and you gotta fucking work all day, every day to get it done. And I think that project, we drilled and blasted about 30,000 cubic meters of rock for where the tunnel was going. And we bought our mobile jaw crusher back then, crushed all the backfill for the tunnel. Armtech was our supplier for the multi-plate culvert that we installed. It was their first one of that size. It was massive, and it went without a hitch. It was fantastic. I'm super proud of that project. And then some of my best friends got to race over top of it, and Britt Janik, she was sixth in the women's downhill in the Olympics. So that was pretty damn cool. And a born and raised Whistler kid that I got to build a downhill for her to be very successful on. So that was probably the one that touches me the most. Another one that is used every day in Whistler is the tunnel we built just behind our office here for the resort municipality of Whistler. Again, going back to my dad's involvement in the Valley Trail development in this town, going back to the late 70s, early 80s. It was the last piece of the Valley Trail that didn't connect North Whistler to the village. Everybody had to ride their bikes on the highway, and you'll see guys, riding down the highway in a foot of snow with skis on their back in the winter on their bikes. And what's wrong with you, man? Just get on the trail. But there wasn't a trail back then. So in 20 hours, we had cut out active BC rail line, and 20 hours later, the Rocky Mountaineer was coming back across with a load of tourists paying God knows how much money to ride a train from Vancouver to Kamloops and on to Banff and beyond. But in 20 hours, we cut out a big section of railway, put in a 50-meter long box culvert from our friends at Langley Concrete, swung it in, backfilled it, and 20 hours later, a train was going back over top of it. So to this day, that was still my most exciting day of work I've ever had. Here, it took a shit ton of coordination to get it done, but we nailed it. It was fantastic.
Doing a job like that, I assume you did it a little bit different than maybe your father would have did it, because now you have whether it's new machines or new technologies, is there something that maybe you had access to that maybe he didn't?
Probably human capital for the most part, Scott. Our team that we've grown here at CME in the last number of years, we attract very smart people, admittedly smarter than me. I like to give good people the resources that they need to succeed and let them go and do it. I build the business, I win the contracts, but it's up to my team to knock it out and run with it. And I like to let them do that. Big hats off to my partner, Tim, he was our operations manager going back to 1991 when he came over from Australia and worked his ass off for my dad. And he told my dad, I will never fail. And he hasn't. And he's worked for us for 30 plus years. And now he owns half the business. And he managed that project incredibly well. I think there was one guy from CN Rail that was there that night for the night shift. And he reported to no one at CN Rail. Countrywide, he was the guy. He had all this chains around his neck. He was 7 feet tall. He was as thick as 100-year-old Doug fir. And he was intimidating. And when he got there, what the fuck are you guys doing? And an hour later, he's like, I'm just sitting in my truck. You guys are good. So kind of shows you, what we're capable of, the horsepower we have with varying types of equipment, sizes of equipment, just the diversity in what we bring to the table every day, Scott, sets us up for success all the time.
What attracts people to Whistler, and maybe where are they coming from usually?
So when we're interviewing someone for a new position here at CME, the first question, and it's usually Tim that asks it, is, why are you here? Why do you want to live in Whistler? And everybody's usually the same. They come here to ski, to bike, to be outside. And if you want to live here, you got to find a job that supports living here, because it's not a cheap place to live. And, it used to be the fact that probably 80% of our staff actually lived in Whistler, but now 80% lives in either Squamish to the south or Pemberton to the north. Very few people actually live in Whistler now, because it's such an expensive place to live, an expensive place to visit. But we've had a lot of success with Australians, with Kiwis, more recently Chileans. My lead estimator is a Chilean project manager that's really flying with our new takeoff software and estimating software. Our AR guy, our accounts receivable guys from Chile. So we really got a really good mix. And we're also proud to say that 10% of our staff are Indigenous, and they come from Mount Currie, just up the highway, about half an hour from Whistler. And that's been a big part of our success too, is getting those community members into CME and giving them good year-round employment. And it's been really rewarding for both sides.
I think you're amazing. You do a stand-up job. Like, there was this one time I talked to you about machines. It was like, you had a Volvo, you had a Komatsu, you had a Cat.
I reward hard work. And that goes to staff, it goes to clients, and also suppliers. And you develop relationships with people that are like-minded and motivated the same way. And I'm motivated by hard work and the thrill of the hunt and landing deals. And so generally speaking, I reward my business to whoever's working the hardest at the time. So we don't go one way or another. It might be a Cat year, it might be a John Deere year, it might be a Volvo year, it might be Hitachi, Komatsu. But whoever works the hardest gets rewarded. It's pretty simple.
A ski town like this, like, is there, or I would assume there's concerns about environmental type stuff.
Absolutely.
Like, explain that a little bit.
So for us, it's, we live in a beautiful place, forest all around us, pristine creeks, glaciers, although they're disappearing faster than anybody would like to admit. Investing in the latest and greatest technology, whether that's machine control, but it's also things like putting vegetable oil in some of our excavators so we can walk into live creeks or rivers and dredge rivers in the middle of winter, or in the fish window, like we just finished. Today is the last day of our fish window work, where we're permitted to go into live creeks and install infrastructure with machines that are safe. So if a hydraulic line blows off, like they do sometimes, we're not going to kill a bunch of fish. We're the only guys that spend the money to put that oil into our machines, 300 size excavators, $30,000, $40,000 to put that type of oil into a machine. And we've got 6 or 7 of them. And that's why we keep winning the business. We've dredged the Pemberton or the Lillooet River for the Diking District in Pemberton for the last 15 years. We've dredged the Fitzsimmons Creek for their flood control measures here for the municipality for about the same length of time. And we keep winning it because we've got the machine control technology partnered with the veg oil in the machines that allows us to go and do it. We can work underwater and achieve design grades, elevations without seeing anything, and pick up our as-builts as we go. Drone technology, total stations, basin rovers, you name it. We're trying to put everything into play. And that goes even back into software and how we, it's the life cycle of the business. It goes from, bidding and estimating. We're using AgTech's new system for our volume calcs and takeoff. We use HCSS for our heavy bid that rolls into our project management software, into our safety program now, and also into our equipment 360 program in our shop. It's start to finish before you even put a piece of iron on the ground. You're working on those efficiencies years before you're even, taking a scoop of earth and putting it in a truck. It's start to finish. So we try and stay ahead of the curve. And, it's flattering sometimes when your competition follows suit. I find it annoying on one hand, but also flattering on the other, where people follow you. But we try to be one step ahead of everyone. And, it even goes back to, like, a good example was for Vanoc when they came to town for the Olympics. We were one of the proponents for all their snow and ice management work, which really grew that side of our business at that time. But we needed some green initiatives, and we went to a company out of Nova Scotia. They were old boiler makers, actually, a company called Treecan, and they started building snow melters. A big boiler that you just start dumping snow in, it starts melting and starts puking water into the storm system, and it's filtering out the gravel that we can recycle and reuse, because we weren't allowed to take snow off site because of the security issues. Here's a contractor with a dump truck coming in. He could have whatever in the dump truck, and we're just trying to haul away snow, but we had to deal with it on site. So we bought two Treecan snow melters and started melting snow in 2010. And all of a sudden, competition's like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. Maybe we should do that too. So, another green initiative that really Van Auck latched onto, and we were awarded that big snow removal contract for all the venues in Whistler during the games. And that was a big learning experience for us, and really, really catapulted us into, being professionals in the snow and ice management business and changing that whole industry here locally. That was our big jumping off point for that part of our business.
When it has to be right, you can trust Leica Geosystems' cutting-edge construction technology to help you get the job done and grow your business. Leica's simple to learn, simple to use products allow you to get your workforce up to speed on new technology fast. Trust me when I say Leica Machine Control will help you move more dirt more efficiently. For more information on Leica Geosystems solutions, please visit leica-geosystems.com. Do you ever collab with other companies to do construction projects in the area, or?
Where we team up on is design build stuff, Scotty. So not necessarily with our direct competition. I mean, there's enough work in the corridor that everybody can play in the sandbox and not step on each other's toes. And that goes back to my dad's era with other kind of first generation owner operators that are kind of fading off now as they get older. But where we partner is with our clients, because we really care about their projects and what they do. But as far as design build stuff, we'll partner with metal fab and geotechnical guys, structural engineers, not necessarily other contractors. But as far as design build stuff goes, that's really a strong point for us because of our diverse equipment fleet and service offering and the one-stop shopping that you can get with Coastal Mountain Excavations. That's really where we shine, focus, and our bigger projects, major subdivisions that are multi-phased over, 5 to 10 years. Once you hire Coastal Mountain and we work for you for a while, generally speaking, you're not going anywhere else. Repeat. Earn the trust, build the trust, and repeat.
So Whistler's a pretty small place, and you know a lot of people. You've lived there your entire life, and you have a lot of relationships there with many people. You collaborate, you spread the love, you do all these different things, which I have so much respect for. What type of stuff do you do to maybe, besides providing construction to the area?
Yeah.
Do you provide, do you take part in any things within the community at all?
Absolutely. So we're big on community here at CME, and we like to give till it hurts and then give some more. So I'd say we probably sponsor and support 40 to 50 different nonprofit organizations in the Sea to Sky corridor. And that's anything from, giving a silent auction donation of a driveway contract for snow removal for the winter to a fundraiser, or we sponsor all the high schools in Squamish, Pemberton, and Whistler with scholarships and bursaries for kids that are going into the trades every year. We've been doing that for about a decade. Work experience programs. We like to support anything and everything that comes in the door. There is a limit to what we can do. But, my dad, and even kids' sports teams, baseball, hockey teams, soccer teams, I love seeing my logo on kids running around. I see a kid with a Coastal Mountain hat running down the street or at my kid's school. They're like, "Hey, Matt, you're the Coastal Mountain guy. You guys are everywhere." I'm like, yeah, I love hearing that. That's feel-good stuff, and something we'll continue to do and get better at and get smarter at and focus in maybe a little more. But for us in kind of making, I'd say, homegrown talent, Scott, because Whistler's such a expensive place to live now. Getting to know kids when they're younger, teenage years, going into high school, looking to go into a trade, and encouraging them that construction's it's a really good job. You can make a lot of money, even being a pipe layer. It's not something to be looked down on. We're professionals. We like to do excellent quality work, and we'll support you from going to school, and just make sure you're coming back to work for us a little later. We've got a young guy named Liam Hudson that he wanted to go to architecture school, and he worked for us for a summer. He's like, hey, civil construction's not that bad. And he's going to go do his ACST program at Camosun College, and we're helping him with his tuition. And he came back this summer as a project coordinator and working out of our Squamish office on a couple of our big sites. And, we're helping him with his tuition and giving him a great place to come back and work every summer. And, the hope is that he comes back to work for us full time. And we've got a new generation of people that are working for us, but also have a place to live in the Sea to Sky corridor is important. So supporting those people and encouraging them to chase their dreams in the construction world, or trades, engineering, anything like it, even heavy duty mechanic stuff. We're behind. We're supporting our chief mechanic's son going to IHE school in Kelowna. He has been working for us for a heavy duty mechanic, but like most kids out there, I want to run a machine. But we usually tell kids that want to run a machine that you need to get in the ditch first, because if you don't know what's going on in the ditch, you certainly don't know what's going upstairs, and you're going to kill people. So I want to be an operator. Yeah, sure, but not now. Get in the ditch, kid, and learn it.
Do you have any problems trying to find operators at the moment, or?
Last, I'd say first year of COVID 2020, it was weird for all of us. Not many people moving around the world. There was the suspension of the temporary foreign worker program in Canada, which was not so great for guys like us in our industry. But in the last couple of years, since the world's opened back up, we're a company that people want to work for. We've got a great reputation, and even people that have left us for greener pastures, whether that's pipelining in Fort Mac or going to work for Kiewit or whatever, they all come back, and it's a testament to the company we run, and our people and culture here is huge. But no, we've been really lucky in the last number of years, especially this year. On pipelaying's been I'd say a dying skill in the industry. There's not a place you can go to learn how to lay pipe in this world. Certainly not in BC that I'm aware of. If you know one, let me know, Scotty. But we've been really, really fortunate in the last couple of years, attracting some really good talent. And we've never been stronger in the field with our guys in the ditch, guys in machines, guys in the office, our field management, even our finance department, and our shop facility, maintenance facility. We're lucky. Our human capital is top notch, and I'm very proud to say that.
Do you provide any in-house training at all?
Yeah, so I mean, with the way the safety world is going, our new safety program, our joint health and safety committee, we've got a full-time CSO. We've got 2 people in our people and culture department that manage all the training. I mean, everybody that comes to work for us now, they spend a full day in safety training, safety for excellence. And we're working on a new program in partnership with the Lillooet Nation in Mount Currie. We've got a new project with them starting next week, and we're going to be training some of their community members to actually get into the construction industry full time and have really rewarding positions and year-round work that is excellent paying jobs. And that, so far with that relationship, it's been going very well, and we intend on parlaying that into bigger and future projects with those guys too. So we care about our people a lot. We want people to go home safe every day to their families. That's the most important thing. And it's not that's a new focus, but renewed and important. And we need to keep our foot on the gas there and train our people as best we can.
Going back to the equipment for a little bit, because I'm an equipment guy.
No way.
I'm seeing some trends of there's like this big push to get like electric machines and all this. Like, what What's your thoughts on that type of stuff?
I mean, there is a big push. I don't see it happening for a while. When I was at Connex in Vegas with you and all the equipment dealers and manufacturers, I think the electric phase of heavy equipment will be short lived. I think we're going to be seeing hydrogen machines sooner than we will an efficient electric machine. I'm sure I'd love to see an electric loader that we do all the snow removal for the municipality and in Whistler, in the Whistler Village, which 50,000, 100,000 people a day walk through when it's winter season. And if we could have a zero carbon footprint, that would be great. But I just don't see it happening anytime soon. It's just not where it needs to be fully supported by our industry. I think the manufacturers got to move the needle a little more, but time will tell. I'm not convinced yet.
Me either. Like, the machines don't run for 10 to 12 hours straight. Like, it's pretty hard to work a full shift.
No. And here you go. Say you buy a 200 size excavator, which is kind of meat and potatoes for us in our residential business. Are you going to pay, what is it now, $400,000 for that machine, and then spend another 200 grand on a battery that's on the site so you can plug it in every 2 hours? Your efficiency is not there, costs through the roof, and no one's going to pay for it unless we're subsidized to pay for it. It's not happening.
Can you walk me through the process of like a construction idea from the concept to completion? Like, I'm not a business owner, so like I see things in the field a little bit different than you. Explain kind of a little bit along that for me.
So for me in my seat, Scott, I build relationships. That's what I'm good at. As the older and more mature I get, the more I understand that about myself. So in my world, it's relationship building and you getting to know the players that you need to know in this business, who's doing what, where, and when. A lot of our overall company success comes from long-term attention to clients and really understanding what they're doing, who they're working with, and what you need to do to get in the door. So a good example of one recently for us was our Red Bridge project in Squamish for Kingswood Development. I think I've been hanging around that, repricing that for 6 or 7 years. And you hang around long enough, not like a bad smell, but like any good sales guy, you touch them when you need to, but not too often to be annoying. But just stay in there and stay patient and stick with the process. And sure enough, you hang in long enough and you get the work. And that's rang true with us for Polygon and their new development in Squamish. That was probably a 4-year close for me. But really getting to know the people that make the decisions, presenting yourself in a manner that sets you apart from the competition with your service offering, being honest and reliable, solving their problems, having the attention to detail you need to get these jobs in the door and not lose your shirt because they're multi-million dollars worth of work, and really supporting the people that work for you. Because if I'm not doing my job out there selling and winning these jobs, then the 110 people that work for me aren't going to work either. So that's really where my focus is. It's at the start, and it's all the sleepless nights and long hours that no one sees. They really come to fruition in big, powerful, awesome projects that are multi-phased, multi-year, multi-million-dollar projects where we go to work for these guys and they go, hey, you guys know what the fuck you're doing, let's do this again. And they don't go to tender. They're like, hey, here's the plans, price it, let's go. And that's really where we shine in our business, is we build that trust, earn the trust, build the trust, and just repeat. And that's my focus, and really been the building blocks of our growth and scale in the last number of years.
I'm seeing construction as an industry, it's evolving all the time. I assume it's evolving for you within Whistler too. Like, I also assume that the types of jobs are kind of evolving. Like, are you building things differently in different ways than kind of the past? Like, where is all this going for you, I guess, in your area?
Yeah, I mean, sustainability is a big buzzword in the industry, and construction by nature is, it's dirty, it's loud, you know, it just is what it is. So for us, it's really paying attention to our waste and how much we can reduce things on site, whether it's working with a narrower piece of equipment or trenching in a smaller footprint versus a bigger one. It's, recycling asphalt, it's crushing concrete and reusing it in trench backfill, mixing it with rock. It's really anything you can think of to a, bring down cost for the client, b, be more efficient, and c, make more money. So I'm a fan of all those things, but it really starts in the office with bidding. You want to have a strategic advantage over your competition, and you really want to take that to as far as you can, and that's what we always look for in jobs where we're competing. Usually we shine because of all the service offerings we can bring under one umbrella, and you're not hiring another drilling and blasting company that you're marking up that the owner's paying for. You're not hiring another gravel company that you're marking up that the owner's paying for. You have solid relationships with your material suppliers. For us, that's MCO Waterworks, and that's Langley Concrete, and those are decades old relationships where you're getting the absolute best pricing. The guys are fighting for you. That material is going to show up when you need it. There's not wasted days. You're investing in the best equipment, so it doesn't have downtime. So you're producing every day the way you need to, the way you bid the job. You're explaining how you bid the job and involving the project managers in from the start, so they know how the bid was prepared, so they can go run it the way you thought it would go. It's all those things you think about before you even put a piece of equipment on the ground and start the work that really sets it up for success way before you're even doing the work. And then it's having, the right project managers and supers and laborers that are skilled and knowledgeable. Yes, you have to teach people things all the time now. And we've got guys with green hard hats, so I can see them in the field. Like, you're new, you are a greenhorn, you need help. You can actually see them physically out on a job site and train them. And yes, you're going to screw up, but that's where you learn the most. So we encourage people to, try, and there's no such thing as a stupid question because we're all learning as we go. Myself, Tim, my VP of construction, no one knows everything, but collectively we try and know more than the next guys, and that's usually why we win.
It must be very rewarding to be able to help the community and stuff like that. Like, do you find it rewarding what you do and the people that you employ and the lives that I assume that you change by employing them?
Legacy is a huge part of the family business here at CME because we are a family business. I mean, it started with my dad. I'm the second generation. His son Kane works. Tim's son Kane works for us. He went away to work for Kiewit for a few years, but couldn't wait to get out of there. And he's coming back as a superintendent for us in 3 weeks, which is really exciting. But I think for me, Scott, the most enjoyment I get out of my day-to-day work is seeing our people grow, learn, advance. Like, absolutely love seeing what we do and the people we bring in and giving them that opportunity to grow, and actually watching them do it is incredible. And probably where I get 99% of my satisfaction daily out of what I do is seeing people come to work for us, learn new skills, grow their careers. We always have room for people to advance in the company. We always promote from within before we go outside. We want people to organically just grow within the organization. And I think that's a real factor in us retaining our employees is their growth. And it's important to me in my own development as a as a leader and a business owner, and that breathes through the entire organization. Even our finance staff, we've got 2 people going through the CPA program, and we're helping them achieve those goals, and to see them actually become designated accountants because of the job we've given them and the support we've given them to chase their education and their dreams is really cool.
Do you have any advice to maybe someone who's thinking of coming to work for you?
I'd say absolutely. I mean, I think as a starter, just for kids out there to know that the construction industry is awesome. It's not something to look down on. I am wearing a blue collar, right now, but we do a lot of cool stuff every day. But to make it these days, kids are getting soft and lazy. You got to show up early. You got to work hard. You got to work harder than the guy or girl next to you. You got to want it more. You got to, if it's raining, you got to hate it a little bit less. You got to love the early mornings. You got to love the grind. You got to have grit. You got to have perseverance. Otherwise, you're not getting anywhere. And I think kids these days are a little soft and been wearing sissy mitts for a little too long in their lives, or maybe their parents, helicoptered around them a little too long. But you got to get out there, get dirty, and just work hard. And there is no replacement for hard work. You got to do it. You got to get up every day and just get back at it. And that's all it takes. We reward hard work. And that goes to our suppliers, our clients, and especially our staff still.
Going on in the future here, like you're a leader in construction in the area and you know it obviously very, very well. What do you envision for the future of construction in the area, and how can it be preserved?
I think the Resort Municipality of Whistler does a really good job in limiting, let's say, extraneous development, Scott. On one hand, they do a good job of preserving what makes Whistler Whistler. There's a lot of really smart people that work there. If you ask me, they don't work as fast as maybe they should, but that's public service in a nutshell. Private enterprise that has to move fast or we die. But I think with, we had a big change in ownership of the ski hills here in the last 5 years-ish, 6 years, forget, when Vail bought Whistler Blackcomb. That changed the town quite a bit. There was a lot of, call it centralization of jobs from Whistler to Broomfield, Colorado. A lot of the people that had worked at Whistler Blackcomb for decades, lost their jobs overnight. So that really kind of changed the face of the town and kind of sucked the soul out of it a little bit. If you ask local people that have been here for a long time, that was not the greatest. But on the flip side, they keep investing tens of millions of dollars into the town every year, whether it's new lift development. This year they're doing the Fitzsimmons chair, next year's Jersey Cream, and then the Village Gondola, and then there's going to be another big project to be announced soon that hopefully I will be doing all of it. But preserving the town's important, but you also have to look ahead, and Whistler's always been a place on the leading edge of ski resorts in the world. There's a reason why we've been the number one ski resort in the world years and years and years in a row. I think we've lost it a couple times, but out of the last 25 years, maybe it's 22 that we've been the number one resort in the world. So we're like Coastal Mountain, always at the forefront, cutting edge of what people are doing in the world as far as development, construction, and being a world-renowned ski resort, now bike resort, golf resort, hiking, you name it. It's outdoor playground heaven here for people, and that's why it'll always be a place where people want to come. But we need to build more employee housing so this town can run. You come to a restaurant here and your service sucks. Well, guess what? Waiter can't afford to live here. They make good tips at night, but their wage sucks. And, bus drivers, teachers, snowplow drivers for me, I've got to pay for guys to travel from Squamish or Pemberton to Whistler to plow snow in the morning. I'm paying for the truck. I'm paying for the fuel. I'm paying for the maintenance. Like, it's not sustainable. We need people to live here like we used to, and it's kind of blown up to this thing that's globally and world renowned as the best place to ski on earth, but it's hard to live here. It's expensive and it's wearing on people. I've got 2 guys that I found out today have to go back to Quebec, go live with mom and dad because they can't afford to live here. That's sad. I cried. We don't like that.
Is there any type of solution for that? Like, I don't know.
It's affordable housing. It's subsidized housing. I mean, I live in the WHA, which is the Whistler Housing Authority, and it's supposed to be affordable for people to live here. But I do pretty well for myself, and it's it's not that affordable. So for a guy, for me, that makes as a laborer starting out, maybe he's making $30 an hour. That's a pretty good living wage. It doesn't get you very far here. So we need housing that's affordable. We need transportation that's affordable, and we just don't have enough of it. They are trying, but it's not fast enough. It's not nearly enough, and it needs to happen yesterday. Yeah, we need housing, housing, housing. It's a crisis, and that's Canada wide, I know, but it's especially pronounced here in Whistler because of where we are and the people that visit us all year long and the money they bring to town and money they spend at restaurants and shops and stuff. It's great, but they're not going to last if the people aren't here to work at those places.
Well, that's that's a tough one, but I mean, it's like that all over the country, I suppose. Or so I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean, we keep letting in 600,000 people a year into Canada, and we're not building housing for them. So where are they going to
Yeah,
go?
well,
You know?
this chat has been amazing. We've been friends for a few years now, and
You're amazing.
I've learned a lot about you, and I love you even more now as a person. I felt like I got a lot of information about who you are and kind of what you stand for as a person, the way that you run your business, and I can just kind of tell that you're authentic and genuine, and I love how you were able to take over your father's company and continue the tradition, I guess.
It goes both ways, Scotty, and I think that's one of the principles of who I am. I like a term, and my friend Keith taught it to me. It's called instamacy. It's instant intimacy. So I have a open kimono policy at Coastal Mountain. You will know me very fast, and that's how I genuinely build relationships that last a long time.
Okay, well, to wrap things up, is there anything else you want to mention? You can anything. I don't even care what it is.
I just love Pushysix. I think you are the man. I think you're doing fantastic things. And if you don't follow Scott, you need to, because you are the guy making changes in our industry that need to happen. I appreciate it. What you're doing, I think, is just fantastic. And letting go of the sticks and jumping out into the world and taking that leap is exactly what people need to be doing.
Thank you very much. I will leave links to your website and your Instagram so people can find you. And thanks for the podcast. Loved it. You're my first one. So
Thank you for having me, Scotty. I really appreciate the opportunity. Humbled, honored, and
awesome.
just
We'll talk
thankful.
soon. Thanks, Matty.